the more specific you can get to what they're looking for, the higher click-through rate, the higher conversion rate, the better the user experience. And that's ultimately what we're trying to give, is the best user experience overall, right?
Hey, welcome back. Another episode of More Than Marketing. I'm your host, Arsha Mirsha. I'm so excited to be with my main man, Nick Brown, today. Nick, I don't even know what to say. He's an account director here, marketing manager. Title doesn't matter. This guy, I think you know this, but let me just say it. I have so much respect for Nick because he straddles the line of marketing and technology so well. He can translate what marketing's trying to do to the development team. Hey, we need to track this way because I need to report on it this way, or I need this system integrated with that, and so I just respect that you understand the underlying technology and how it works, and you I don't know where that came from. I mean, you tell me where that come from.
My background in like tinkering and breaking things and fixing them and having to understand how they work. That's like kind of, I don't know, something that I've always learned. I come from like a construction background with my family, and that's where that it comes from. I like to break things, figure out how they work, and then try and fix them. So
he's a Renaissance man. He does a little bit of each. He does a little bit of everything. Some things better than others.
Yeah, absolutely.
In this case, what you do really well, and what we're talking about today, is Google Ads, and in particular, getting pretty technical with it, but maybe not technical. You tell me.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessarily technical. I think this is something that your everyday, ads manager can definitely take.
Yeah.
There is, a little bit of like tech language to it, but I mean, Google's made it so simple that you can get the bases and the starting points, right off the bat from them. And then there's a lot of people out there that have done this type of thing.
Sure.
Not necessarily
documentation.
Yeah, not necessarily what we're going to talk about today, but there's a lot of other ways you can utilize what we're about to talk about in a more global sense. So it's definitely more for the everyday person that's in Ads Manager instead of just someone that has a ton of tech and scripting background.
Okay, and we're talking about Google Ads customizers, right?
Yeah.
And so tell me what is Google Ads customizer? What is that?
So in Google allows you to pull in information that's different for every user that searches for an ad. There's some great examples about these, but before we talk about that, I'm sure some, ads managers are immediately like, oh, this is probably going to be scripting and
not scripting,
in the back end. No, this is all done right in platform, and it's super simple to do. So it allows you, and we'll use the example of countdowns. Right inside of Google Ads Manager, you can actually set up a countdown to a specific date. So every time a user searches, each day the ad is actually going to update to 30 days, 29 days, 28 days, really start counting down. And that's kind of what we're talking about, the ability to customize and change the ad based off of time, location, any sort of number of variables.
That's so cool. So great. So in the countdown example, we're invoking FOMO, right? Fear of missing out. Basically, I mean, unfortunately, it's the fear emotion, but hey, it works. So we can use it when appropriate.
Absolutely.
So these customizers, they allow you to. I mean, what's the benefit? I guess let's talk about that. Why should I use right, Nick? Like, why should I use a customizer?
Yeah, great question. I think the real the thing that we understand as marketers is that the more specific we're able to get with our ads and the more unique to the individual user, essentially saying, hey, I have exactly what you need. Here is, all of the parameters around it. You don't have to go anywhere else. There's no additional searching. The more specific you can get to what they're looking for, the higher click-through rate, the higher conversion rate, the better the user experience. And that's ultimately what we're trying to give, is the best user experience overall, right?
Very well said, my friend. Very well said. That there's no way I could have done it better. Yes,
Well,
ultimately trying to get the best user experience and backtracking out of that, just to kind of repeat what you said, is like specificity in that ad to that user's search term, for example, or query. And then you tie that back to congruency onto the landing page or what have you. It's just going to be, everyone's going to win that way, right? Everyone's going to win that way. So I love the benefit. It's we want to be specific. We want to help the user at the end of the day. So then, examples?
Yeah, so probably one of the best example that everyone can latch onto or think about is definitely countdown ads.
Yeah.
Another one that you'll frequently see is dynamic keyword insertion. So based off of what the user searches, we're pulling through a specific keyword into our ad. That's another one that is real easy to kind of wrap your head around. I search for red shoes. It then says red shoes in the ad. That makes a lot of sense.
We have red shoes.
Yeah, we have the red shoes you need. All of that stuff is done easily inside a platform. There's not really anything else you need to do.
Yep.
But, me being the tinkerer, the breaker that I am,
yes,
that wasn't good enough for me. I wanted to take it to the next level.
Had to go deeper.
Yeah, right? So one of the big ones that we, like a use case or another example, is locations.
Yes.
This is something that, depending on the client or depending on who you're doing this for, there's, that's a big thing. Whether or not, if you have a brick and mortar location, people want to know, hey, it's the Amazon world, right? You get anything in 2 days. So people want to be able to say, do you have this right now? And can I get it? Where are you located?
Yeah.
All of those things, if you're able to represent that in the ad, saying, hey, not only do I have red shoes, but I'm 2 seconds away from you. You can pick your red shoes up right now and walk out of the store wearing them.
Right.
That's what everyone wants.
Sure,
right?
yeah. And like, for instance, I don't know if you're a lawyer or a real estate agent that's able to operate in certain counties or states or whatever, right? Then what you can do, presumably, is your campaign geofences around the area that you can operate in. Then you write an ad that has a dynamic element in it, which is location. And now you don't. So basically, you don't have to go and create campaigns for every single location that you can operate in. You create one campaign, big geofence, and then the customizer puts in the location that the user's in, searching it, right?
Yeah.
So if they're like, I don't know, real estate broker, Columbia, Maryland, then it's like, yes, like we are your Columbia, Maryland's top broker, or whatever the ad might say. Is that fair?
Yes.
So the benefit to the ad manager there is what? Efficiency?
Yeah, it's extremely more efficient. I mean, as long as, and we'll talk a little bit about the back end component of what you need to do.
Yeah.
But as long as you're capturing that area, and as long as Google's able to understand where the user is, and they're able to pull that information through, it's relatively, not necessarily simple, but it's easy to get set up and done. And then, going forward in the future, you have to do that one time.
Right.
Where if you do campaigns or ad groups locally, every time you're changing, you also have to make sure you have the right ad in the right ad group or the right campaign.
Right.
There's a much bigger opportunity for potential, errors to occur.
Yeah.
And also, it's going to take you that much longer to upload all of those ads.
So scale.
Yeah, absolutely. Scale is a big one.
Yeah, lets you scale in that sense, right? Does it, though, remove, what's the cost, right? Because I'm wondering, can I report still? Like, if I have all those campaigns, I can do, campaign reporting, and I know the geo's different between them, for example, right?
Yeah.
But is reporting a cost? Is there...
I do think, when you're talking about location, Google Ads still presents you with the ability to report by user location, by state, DMA, whatever you want to, whatever you want to.
You can always break those dimensions. That dimension down.
And there's always another way to get the data or the information that you're looking for. If you do have them broken out by, campaigns or ad groups, it is going to be, yes, a little bit more clear cut if that's, what you're trying to do. But I would argue, you can go into Google Data Studio and pull a report that pulls,
Maybe location wasn't the best example.
Yeah.
Or maybe reporting wasn't the best
I do think
potential con.
Yeah.
Is there a con? I mean...
I wouldn't say. I mean, the setup. It definitely takes a lot longer to get this set up and running because there's a little bit more that you need to do to
you
make
have to
sure.
think about it.
Yeah, you have to think
about
it.
what's happening and what your user is going to see. So it's like a deeper level of thought that way.
And like you talked, another good example that you can use this for is promotions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you have your customizer in there, you can now insert new promotions.
Okay.
But it then becomes harder to report on promotion performance.
Mm-hmm.
So your reporting is definitely something you're going to need to think about. But with any sort of efficiency or any new technology that you're kind of utilizing, there's always going to be those costs.
Yeah. Right.
So it's a matter of, in my opinion, is the juice worth the squeeze?
Yeah. So it's being aware of the down the line consequences, right? So, reporting is one that it's just one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Because reporting, not just because you have to report to your boss or to your client, but also reporting because insights, right? You need to do some analysis and some insights like, hey, how is this performing? And if you weren't using a customizer, maybe you're not able to scale as much because it's, there's a lot more inputs, right?
Yeah.
You got to use Google Ads Editor. Is it Ads Editor or AdWords Editor still?
I think it's Ads Editor.
It's Ads Editor now.
Yeah.
Right, but see, like so it's there's just pros and cons. I think it's pros and cons. But the major pro for the ads, the person managing is that scale and that efficiency. Once you have it set up and thought through it, and then pro the user is yes, like this is what you're looking for. Your search has ended. You have found your solution, right?
Yeah.
Which also then becomes a pro for the business because now you're getting that higher conversion rate.
Yeah, and I mean that's one. We have a whole bunch of different data points on how these have functioned profitably for our clients.
Mm-hmm.
The countdown ads have worked for some higher ed clients to push enrollment dates.
If you have an enrollment deadline, like tell the person right there in the ad.
Absolutely.
Like why should they have to click through, right? Like,
and then not only in the ad, make it apparent in the landing page. If you're gonna be pushing that, like in terms of user experience, this is something that. Yes, it's encouraging, and we talked a little bit about the fear-based, but if you don't have it in by this date, you're going to end up waiting longer. Right. So, letting them...
Ultimately, you're helping them.
Yeah, letting them know that up front is really the benefit.
Right. Yeah, I would agree. So, what other... give me some other examples. This is fun.
Yeah. So, we have another client that is more of like a B2B, B2C location-based business, and they do a big component of their business is shipping products. Yeah, because they're more on the construction side.
So they're more B2B than they are B2C. Right?
Yes,
they're definitely B2B.
Yeah,
but they ship products, physical product to the right.
And like a big component of that, a lot of times is, do you have what I need?
Right.
And how long or how much is it going to cost me to get it there?
Okay.
So in that way, we're able to work around where they have yards or locations, and we're able to say, hey, yes, we do have this right near you, and because we're pulling in that user's location, we're able to actually represent, hey, we have a yard in Columbia, Maryland, or near Columbia, Maryland.
Right, near, right.
Yeah, so there's definitely a way of how you present yourself that's a critical component of this.
Very critical, I would say. Yeah, because you don't want to be misleading.
Yes,
that's a potential, thing you need to think about.
Yeah.
A potential downfall of this is you could, if you don't think about how your ad will be presented, it could be misleading in that way. So near makes sense. This also, Nick, brings up another point, which is alignment between marketing department who's running the ads to other departments that may be impacted.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
In this case, if we're saying, shipping is going to cost this or approximately that, or we have a yard here, so your lead time is a day or two or whatever, we got to make sure that if someone calls, sales knows that we're running that ad. Our logistics, our supply chain is true. Like we can't be lying.
No.
So this requires some deeper alignment between the different functional areas of the business.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, all of that goes back to user experience. That's what you want to have. You want everyone to have a positive or a good user experience.
Sure.
If you're misrepresenting your business and saying, hey, we have a location in Columbia, Maryland, and then really it's like,
you don't.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, actually, we're really in Anne Arundel County, and it's like 25 minutes away.
Right.
Like, the user's going to be like, all right, well, never mind, that kind of stinks.
Right.
So, yeah, there's definitely a misrepresentation that can be facilitated in the ad, saying instead of location in, you can say location near or something along those lines. The other big component of doing this type of customizer is, we only have 30 characters in our headline, 90 in the description. If our location eats up 27 of those characters, it's going to, you have nothing before it, or what's going to happen is Google's going to use the default. And there's something you have to specify
as
a default. So, we're talking about this location example, near you.
Right.
Yeah, is what we typically default to.
Right, good.
Meaning, yes, it's near your location, but it's not as specific or as good as
so you're giving up a little bit of that when you do that, right? Yeah, that makes sense.
But in that example, there's the good thing I definitely want to get into the back end of how this all functions a little bit.
Yeah.
But there's a way, thinking forward and understanding the amount of characters you have. Or the amount of characters on average that you're going to be using, you can then make sure 90% of my locations fall under that 10 character limit that I have to have.
Right.
And then, the additional 10%.
And how do you get that? I mean, now here you go get into technical. Yeah. It was funny. You said it's kind of like a giant if-then statement.
Yes.
And so here's the technical side.
Yes.
He's a marketer at first, but he also understands, like, as developers, developers use if-then statements all the time. Every single programming language has one, right? So
So, I mean, really what we're talking about, 2 columns. If it says this, then output this. So we'll continue with the user location example. If user is located in this location or this city, this zip code, output this. We've done.
So you can rewrite it then.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's where I'm talking. Getting under that character limit, you have some things to play with.
So could you do like, okay, it's Ellicott City, now output 21042.
Yeah.
The zip code.
Or you could do, not that Howard County is any shorter, but you could, there's a way you can play around with this and recognize this one's too long. I'm trying to think of like a great example, like
Howard County, shorten it to HOCO.
Yeah, or if you understand that, or maybe there's
the user will understand that if that's your target audience.
Yeah, abbreviations is another thing we've done. Maybe you don't need to say city and you can abbreviate it, and the user gets the idea. Springs is another one that we quite frequently run across that the user's able to understand. What that really means if you abbreviate it.
Right.
So that's where, you have that list of locations as to, hey, this is what it's going to appear like in AdWords. Here's what I want the ad to say. And understanding that character length and, minimizing it or doing things to zoom out to a bigger geography or go a little bit more specific to try and skirt the character limits.
I got ideas, Nick.
Yeah.
Here's an idea. Well, not idea. Here's a question. Can you also then input that into your destination URL? Or do some customization in the destination URL?
So I've done in the display URL. I have not done in the destination URL, but I want
a UTM tag. Sorry, let me tell you why, right?
Okay.
Because now what I want to do is, my ad is specific. I want to push that through to my landing page. Nothing is better than that congruence to the landing page.
Absolutely.
It's like super specific ad to super specific landing page. Like, yes, I clicked on that ad, and I landed here, and that's what I was looking for. They know what I want, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking if we can push that through into the destination URL as like a UTM content field, and then we can have the landing page pick that up, and then do like a text swap, for example.
Yeah.
Even an image swap to like show the state or whatever,
Yeah. I think we have done the UTM portion of it.
We've done that, definitely.
Yeah,
What I'm
just
asking
not
is,
passing through.
Yeah, what I'm asking is, can we put the customizer, the output of the customizer per the query, right?
Yeah.
Dynamically into the destination URL.
I think, I don't know if you can tell the smoke coming out of my ears, but yeah, no.
He's like, give me my laptop,
yeah, exactly,
so
I can do this right now.
Figure this out, because if not, right?
Yeah, but I think
if so, we're gonna do it.
Yeah, right. Well, now I got homework, which is good with me, but I think that's definitely something I haven't done yet, but we could try and see whether or not it comes through. To let you know, we were playing around with this yesterday.
Okay.
And something else we noticed is when you type in, so if we're using a specific example of red shoes, right? When you type in red shoes Columbia, whether or not you're located in Columbia, Maryland,
that's going to trigger.
Quite frequently, it does trigger the customizer.
Right.
Because I was able to, and we're going a little bit down a rabbit hole here, but I was able to, utilize an a Chrome extension to spoof my IP.
Yeah.
So that I was in a different location, but then I'd search for something using a new location, and it was very interesting to me that user specified location was more important than actual geolocation. So
the perils of Google's AI or Google's semantic search, right? Perils of that. Perils also of the customizer.
Yeah.
Again, this is not to be used in every single ad account.
No.
All right. This is to help you become more efficient and scale, and also performance, right?
Yeah.
But again, you have to think through all the potential. And see, this is going back to my introduction of you. If the audience knows or not, I'm classically trained bioinformatics and computer science, right? Now I'm in marketing. Well, as a computer scientist, you have to think about every single scenario that can possibly happen, else your program is going to break. Okay?
Yeah.
So this is what he's doing as a tinker. He's like, okay, let me get a Chrome extension so I can, spoof my IP, change my user agent. If we're getting too technical, we've lost our entire
sorry,
The CMOs are like, what the heck are you talking
Yeah.
about at this point? But look, this is the stuff that goes into to effectively managing ads and driving CPAs down.
Yeah. And I think to your point, ultimately, if the user's specifying that I'm more interested in a location that I'm ultimately in, and it shows the ad or it shows a location variation for what the user specified, that's still a win, because that user is saying like, hey, I'm interested in red shoes in Columbia, although I'm located in Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah, and
So,
look,
like,
I get that, but at the same time, like, this is where how smart is Google? Very smart, very smart. Google, you're very smart.
Yeah.
No, but like Columbia, is that the apparel brand?
Yeah.
Or is it, like, if you go to Maryland, it's definitely Maryland, right?
Yeah.
There's also Columbia, South Carolina. So this is the thought process patterns that go on. It's a very iterative approach to like problem solving. But
And I mean, the other thing is, we talk about these today. In 6 months from now, what are they rolling out on the ad platform that
1 month from now?
Yeah, well, yeah. Also, yes, very much. What is Google Ads going to be called? God only knows.
God only knows.
But I think to your point, these are what we're utilizing right now. And as Google rolls out new customizers or new ways for us to pull in information and give the user a better ad experience, like that's what we need to be doing. And I think that's more of what we're talking about is like, currently this works.
Yeah, I agree.
As Google changes their algorithm, becomes more smarter, we're going to need to, make sure we're applying the knowledge of what we've learned right now, but expanding on it further and growing to continue to improve that.
Yeah. And we'll have the learnings and perspective of today to apply that. So Nick, let me do this, man. Let's say to the audience, hey, look, this stuff we can talk about it for days, give a lot more examples, but I think let's cut it off here. Let's have you come back on the show in a couple months or whatever. We'll talk about more examples here, but also we'll talk about the next new feature that Google's has rolled out and we're testing.
Yeah, I'd love to.
But if anyone has questions about this stuff, can they reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely.
Reach out to us. Like, we're happy to play. Like, we're like, look, don't let me speak for you. We're like kind of like nerds, geeks, and I use those terms in like in the best light possible. Like, we love this stuff. Like, tinkering. Like, you gave me the idea. Like, well, can we put the customizer like output in the URL, because then we can do it on the landing page, and now you're really giving a great experience.
Yeah. And the big thing I can tell you, so, countdowns have driven, a lot of, I've some numbers in terms of metrics. We've seen a lot of improvements there. Location insertion has also provided a large boost for a variety of different clients. So at very least, I challenge everyone out there, get out there, test this. Go through the process of seeing if this is going to work for one or two of your clients, your business, whatever.
Yeah.
Because I've seen a lot of value in it and a lot of success there.
And tell us your results. I love to hear someone like, hey, I heard about this. I tried it. Here's what I found. It was awesome, or it stunk. I don't know.
Yeah.
One more question.
Yeah, absolutely.
How do bid modifiers and the customizer work together? So, for instance, I want to bid higher when it's this state.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same principle, and it works the same that it would normally without the customizer.
Right. Okay, so
the benefit is, if you know you're targeting those location and you have the customizer built out for that,
good call.
Focus more on that.
Okay.
I think we do this a lot. I would say 9 times out of 10, if you're going to use the location specific stuff, you have brick and mortar locations. Mm-hmm. So you're likely going to be trying to geofence for some of the campaigns that you're building around that. Yeah. And those are going to be the campaigns that are going to see the most effect there.
Yeah, I hear you. Yes, I mean, you say brick and mortar, but again, like there are other examples. Like
yes.
Lawyers, accountants, the real estate people who can operate only in certain places,
locations,
or a siding company or roofing company that has that can operate, that has insurance and proper qualifications to operate. So it can work in different industries as well.
Oh, absolutely. And I think the more you're out there tinkering, testing, the
more you're going to improve.
Yeah, the more you're going to improve. And I can, we're talking 20% improvements in click-through rates of what we've seen. A 25% drop in cost per lead when we're running these versus when we're not.
Nice.
So, we're talking about tangible improvements.
Yeah.
And, I think we've been running the countdown ones we've been running for the last 2 years. We started in 2017.
Cool.
So we have a decent amount of data to back up, those improvements when we are running them. So,
I'll throw one more stat out there. The first time I used GeoIP, this isn't Google Ads anymore. This is GeoIP on a landing page. So our landing page used to say, get a loan, and I forget the headline, but like, yes, you get a VA loan, right? And then that was the headline. The variant was get a VA loan in, and then we used the IP of the 4% conversion rate to 16% conversion rate. 4 times, 400% improvement in conversion rate on that particular landing page.
Yeah.
So specificity works, TLDR.
It's what users want. They want to know that where you have what they want, where they want it.
We'll see you back in a couple months.
Thank you.
For all y'all out there, hopefully this was helpful. I know it was kind of deep dive technical and all that, but Nick Brown, he'll be back. Subscribe, share, give us your questions, talk to us. We want to hear from you. Thank you all. Cheers.
Yeah, thank you.